Well, look who just dropped in. I think that's Adam Goodman, who may be Pam Bondi's confidant and media guy for all these years, advisor. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being pretty darn good, how well do you know Ms. Bondi?
11.
11.
She is not only been a tremendous client, but she's a wonderful friend, and just has been a life changer for so many people in this community and throughout the state. So I have a lot of fondness for her.
And you have some inside scoop, I take it. You're going to share right here tonight with us, right?
Well,
where is she going?
No, all I can say is that Pam Bondi's relationship with Donald Trump and the family is very special, and I didn't understand that until after Pam had the courage to endorse Mr. Trump before the Florida primary. You could see there was a special relationship with Donald, with Ivanka, and some of the others in the family. So in a world that they now are about to inherit in Washington, where they don't have a lot of family, you might say, that are from that orbit, I think Pam is going to be a very special part of the experience.
So give us a prediction. If you had to predict, if we shackled your feet here to the set, wouldn't let you go until you gave us a prediction, what will she be in the Trump administration?
Well, the good thing is she's serving at a high level in the transition committee, and that's so she's going to be right there at the table for a lot of the decisions. I think you might say, I mean, it's Katie bar the door in terms of what she could do. Some of the things that would make the most sense, clearly. I mean, she has been a very successful attorney general. The attorney general of the United States should not be beyond the realm of possibility. I think drug czar would be a very interesting position for her, given all the things she's done to fight illegal drugs, synthetic drugs. Even there's been some talk about becoming the next chairman of the Republican National Committee, and maybe leading the way to the party, hopefully, developing from this election a new personality, which I think is to go back to the party of Lincoln.
Now give us your prediction. You called it 6 months ago for Trump. Call it for Pam Bondi.
My prediction is going to get something very good.
Oh, come on. Come on. Okay, let's go back. Yes. You've got a quote there, Marissa. What did Adam say 6 months ago?
Let's read something from June 26, 2016. You said, if Trump is within a few points of Clinton in the polls going into Election Day, he will become president of the United States.
Wow.
What did you know that everybody else was just missing out on?
Two things. I got lucky. No. Two things. One is I'd actually seen this in my career once before. I mean, personally, and it's at the very beginning when the former mayor of Philadelphia, Frank Rizzo, was running for re-election, and he was down like 30 points or something ridiculous in the early going. And I said, "Oh my gosh, this thing is over." And I was told by the team, "No, it isn't. It's the Rizzo factor." I said, "What is that?" They said, "It's the hidden vote. It's the people that find it socially unacceptable to say openly they're for Frank Rizzo, but they're always there at the end of the day because they think he's a remedy for what they're looking for." Mm-hmm. The same thing I think I saw from the beginning with Donald Trump. He was the you might say the remedy to take on a system that most people feel has let them down. Working class Americans feel it's just simply no longer working for them. So I said, I've seen this before. I see the same things in play, and I understand polling enough to know that if you're within margin of error, which is the statistical variance excuse for pollsters to say, we think we have it right, but we're not quite sure, and out of fairness, things happen even at the last second. I thought in the cool of night, on Election Day, the best day of the campaign for Donald Trump was going to be that day, that people were going to vote and vote big at that moment for change. And I think, in fact, that's what happened.
As polls were closing on Election night, what was going through your head as you were seeing this kind of transpire out?
Well, I had an out-of-body experience at one point, thinking this can't actually be happening, because I think we heard so much from the press and members of the media that it was a near impossibility that this would go any other way than for Secretary Clinton. So that was the first part. Then I said, watch Pennsylvania. I said that earlier in the day because I thought if Pennsylvania flipped, it was over. Because I heard reports from my friends in Philadelphia going back to my early days that said, oh my gosh, the Democratic turnout there is so big. It's big for Hillary. This thing is over in Pennsylvania. All the talk about he could do well in a more working class state is not going to pan out. And of course, that didn't pan out at all.
You look into state politics in Florida. In the state Senate races, 3 of the top 5 spenders lost. You have Schlossberg, Miguel Diaz-de la Portilla, Mike Steiniger. They all lost. What does that tell you about the influence of money in politics in 2016?
Overrated. And certainly in terms of the presidential campaign, the huge amount of money that was spent on the outside to affect the presidential, I think had minimal impact. Even though I have to say, in terms of commercial, I love commercials. I thought that Secretary Clinton's commercials and the groups that supported Secretary Clinton were better, as a rule, than those for Donald Trump. And they were outspent horribly, Trump was. And yet he won. He won because I think people are making their own more independent decisions, are better informed. We had the curtain, as I used to say, pulled back in this election. And for the first time in our lifetime, we actually saw how it worked. We actually became educated investors in the system of democracy, and I think that's why money had less of an impact.
Local elections here, you work with the David Jolly campaign. Hindsight's always 2020. Was there anything that you learned, anything that you would have done differently looking back on it now?
Well, David Jolly was outspent 6-1. His own party didn't pony up a nickel, as did generally supporters of the Republican cause. And it was a Democratic district that went for President Obama by 11 the last time out. With all that said, I am very proud of David Jolly and of the campaign we ran. And the one thing we did, especially in the last 6 weeks, that closed the gap to almost margin of error, was making it a concerted effort in the African American community. And that is why I think Republicans have an awesome chance, if they realize this, to retake their image as the party of Lincoln and to go back when African Americans used to be reliably Republican until the Great Depression and the Civil Rights Act. I think they need to go back to those roots. That's a community I think that is very gettable. It could realign politics truly beyond Donald Trump, maybe for a generation to come.
And if I heard right, you predicted that Pam Bondi would be the next U.S. Attorney General, right?
She is deserving of something wonderful. She is incredibly skilled, and it's been my honor, of course, to be with her all these years.
Adam, thank you for your time.
Thank you.